Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajkumar Mosna Singh, Secretary, State Society for Environmental Education and Development, Manipur. Today, this webinar is specially organized to celebrate the International Day for Biological Diversity 2022 under the slogan, Building a Shared Future for All Life. A healthy ecosystem, interdependent webs of living organisms and their natural physical environment are vital to all life on Earth. This year's slogan was so chosen as to continue building momentum and support for the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework to be adopted at the UN Biodiversity Conference, that is COP15, which is now two-part. First part already held in virtual format, and second part to be held face-to-face at the southern city of Kunming, China, scheduled to be held in the third quarter of 2022. Most probably, it will be in the month of October, as per the recent report. Due to corona pandemic, that COP15 has been postponed 4 times. So this COP15 is short for the Convention on Biological Diversity Conference of the Parties, 15. That is, it is the 15th meeting of the parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity. In some way, we can say that it is a conference for countries to come together and make firm positive commitments to halt and begin to reverse the law of the world's biodiversity by 2030. So COP15, along with its resolution, is important as long as biodiversity is concerned. So let me share a simple highlight on Convention of Biological Diversity. Originally, it was Rice Art Summit in 1992 and later ratified by about 195 countries. It is designed. It was designed to protect diversity of plant and animal species, ensure that natural resources are sustainably used. It also aims to achieve fair and equitable sharing of benefits from natural genetic material used in everything from medicine to species and many other technology and purpose. Well, we are always to remind ourselves that biodiversity remains the answer to several sustainable development challenges that we are having today. And the slogan of 2022, we need to put all our ideas and commit into real action. It is a known fact that the nature is the source of most of the development challenges we have, and we need to go along with it in harmony. Has shown that despite all technological achievements, humanity is completely dependent on a healthy and vibrant ecosystem for most of the basic requirements like water, food, medicines, shelter, and so on. Once it was said by an eminent professor of wildlife conservation at Oxford University, David MacDonald, that without biodiversity, there is no future for humanity. So for any solution from climate to health issues, food and water security, and maybe sustainable livelihoods, biodiversity remains the key foundation upon which we can be all better. So biodiversity has been an important topics and issues where world leaders and are busy informing different commitments and protocols, but still we are facing the same problem. Let me come to the biodiversity functions. Biodiversity provides a functioning ecosystem that supply oxygen, pollinator for plants, petrol, and many recreational pursuits such as bird watching, hiking, safari, picnic, camping, we do fishing, and so on. these are the actual things happening around in our reality. To make it sustainably is only in our hand. As long as we act with care for nature, nature will also continue to provide us with its services. And there's many more about the importance of biodiversity, but essential for preserving ecological processes such as fixation of nutrients, recycling of nutrients is also carried out, soil formation is done, water cycle is there, cleansing of air and water is also done, and maintaining of water balance within the system, as well as watershed protection, thereby maintaining stream and river flows throughout the year, erosion controls there, then local flood reduction, and so on. And now also we are facing the flood problem due to incessant rains. These are all within the pursuit of this our environment as well as a balanced ecosystem. Now it has become obvious that preservation of biological resources is essential for the well-being and long-term survival of humans. This diversity of living organisms, which is present in wilderness, as well as crops and livestock, plays a major role in human development. The preservation of biodiversity is therefore integral to any strategy that aims at improving the quality of life. Once UN Chief Antonio Guterres said in his speech, biodiversity is collapsing and we are the. So regarding the global biodiversity framework, which we talk very often, he called for an ambitious new cast iron commitment, that is unchangeable commitment that would inspire action by governments, businessmen, and citizens. So we are desperate desperate about the actual, actual commitments and putting it into actions. So in our reality, it is not happening still. So we are only dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. So he further emphasized that we need everyone to act on the understanding that protecting the nature will create a fairer, healthier, and more sustainable world. Well, a good news as per recent report, I may share, public interest in nature and concerns for it have risen markedly in the past 5 years. And we have also seen a significant lot of concern for nature since the COVID-19 pandemic started. And we know that nature is under pressure as never before. Our needs for food, water, and land, and our increasing demands for energy and more new that is coming up are destroying habitats. Like plastics are everywhere, and it spreads across the whole horizon of the earth. So more new steps are destroying habitats, polluting our air and water, and driving species of animals and plants to extinction. So we are now losing biodiversity up to 10,000 times, even faster than it was disappearing 100 years ago for recent reports. And coming to our local context, there are 36 biodiversity hotspots at present, out of which 4 are in India. These biodiversity hotspots are usually rich in flora and fauna, but its habitat destruction and depletion of species are significantly very high, which is also the important criteria for considering a biodiversity hotspot. So similarly, the state of Manipur falls under 2 biodiversity hotspots. You all know, Himalayan as well as Indo-Burma hotspot. But we know that extensive exploitation, poor practices like zoom cultivation, and other development projects have affected rich and diverse flora and fauna along with their habitats. This exploitation and destruction activities have been going on since long at different scales, not only in Northeast India, but also other parts of the globe, despite many global efforts taken so far. So ultimately, in fact, given the importance of public education and awareness about these issues, the UN actually decided to celebrate this International Day for Biological Diversity annually. In actuality, the International Day for Biological Diversity was first created on 29 December 1993 when CITES Convention on Biological Diversity came into force day. And since then, International Day for Biodiversity was celebrated every year on 29 December 2000. But later on 20 December 2000, the UN General Assembly adopted 22 May as IDB, that is International Day for Biological Diversity, to commemorate the adoption of the text of the biological Convention on Biological Diversity. The very text of the Convention on Biological Diversity was adopted on 22nd May 1992 at the Earth Summit, Rio Earth Summit. That change was done to partly avoid other holidays that fall in late December. Now, without much further ado, I would shorten my speech here, my introductory speech here, and I wholeheartedly welcome esteemed talker of today's webinar, who is presently working as DFO Forest Department, Manipur, and I wholeheartedly welcome respected webinar, Madam Dr. Sagupta, Professor, Manipur University, who is also the president of SHIT, that is Society for Environmental Education and Development, and convener as well, Sakti Manipur. I also welcome distinguished participants from various universities, research organizations, different colleges, administrators, and members of SIT and Sakti. I'm sure that your interaction will make today's session really lively. Thank you all. May I request Dr. Desi Wong to kindly read the biodata of today's esteemed speaker and Ganesh, please take your time.
Thank you, Imosna. Good evening to everybody present here. It is my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Mr. N. Ganesh, IFS, one of the most distinguished personality in the field of conservation of forests and natural resources. Mr. Ganesh completed his Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Branch from Anna University, Chennai in the year 2006, securing 4th rank. He also received Best Outgoing Student Award for the batch 2002 to 2006 of Kongu Engineering College. His area of interest includes forest sector and climate change, livelihood of forest fringe villages and dependent tribal communities, remote sensing and GIS, enforcement, etc. He is presently serving as District Forest Officer, Soil and Water Conservation Division, Forest Department, Government of Manipur. Earlier, he served in various areas of Manipur as Assistant Conservator of Forests, DCF, Climate Change, Biodiversity and Medicinal Plants, and as DFO in various districts like Thoubal, Bisanpur, Churachandpur, and Chandel. He has varied responsibilities and achievements, working earnestly to conserve, preserve, and protect forests of various areas of Manipur, executed various centrally sponsored schemes for the development of forests and benefit of the people. He took keen role in forest management works, preventing forest and wildlife offenses, removal of encroachers in various areas of forest like Tarungbit, Waikong Pine Forest Reserve, Thoubal and Bisnupur Division, etc. He also curbed illegal earth excavation and mining in different areas of Manipur in order to protect the forests of our state. Now, Mr. Ganesh will enlighten us today with his talk in relation to the International Day of biodiversity conservation. Thank you.
May I request N. Ganesh to kindly deliver your presentation? Please take your time.
Okay, then webinar the leisure
Okay.
ahan bada
With some
kudundari.
exception.
Yeah. I Ganesh Nagarajani. Now presently I'm no more DFO Soil and Water Conservation. I've been posted as DFO Kangpokpi just a week back. So I'm District Forest Officer Kangpokpi now, right now. I'm looking after your Kaubru and Singda water catchment areas and other reserve forest. As you know, it's a burning topic in the politics of Manipur as of now. And coming to biodiversity, very happy Biodiversity Day to one and all present here. In Manipur, I worked as a DCF Manipur Biodiversity Board as well, and have with a little experience of Manipur Biodiversity Board, I could take you towards the scenario of the aspect of biodiversity conservation in the state of Manipur. As you know, the biodiversity, I think Mr. Rajkumar, Tamo Rajkumar, Yam Pajana speech and Matore. Um, uh, for example, like there are many biodiversity management committee which has been established, but none of the biodiversity management committee is so functional, very so functional. The state of Manipur, I think even the recent NGT order that we should have biodiversity management committees at the grassroots level, in the sense like at every local body level. If it is there in the valley area, then it should be with the municipal corporations or the corporations, or if it is there in the hills, then it should be with the village authorities. And I think still now we have not been complied with the NGT's order that at each and every village level we do not have a biodiversity management committee. So given this state, the other issues comes up is that what exactly are the bioresources which we are having in Manipur? Whether we have properly we have a record of what exactly we are, what kind of bioresources has been taken away from Manipur, or what kind of researches are being done by the outside agencies or say the foreign agencies. Even to that extent, we have an answer no only. We do not have much of record or documentation in this aspect, because until otherwise we know what exactly are these bioresources that will be going to use, or that are in use in Manipur. Or for example, now we see in Tamil Nadu also there is a case in which I think more than 40 to 50 crores has been given to the local communities for a collection of one particular species, which has been collected from the foreign agency. So this is one issue which is at hand. We should come into terms with this, and then kind of put our thought process, and then say where this Manipur University or the seed or the local NGOs and CSOs can join hands and try to empower the local biodiversity management committees to ensure that they are functional and they use the rules and laws and guidelines to the best use, and then kind of take the National Biodiversity Act forward. So I would even request you, some of you can come and give us an awareness program in Singda as well, where we are trying to have a program the next 1 week along with the BMCs, or maybe we may create some new BMCs there as well. So having said that, my objective is that once this ABS is implemented in the state, then probably everything is will be resolved. The basic issue here in Manipur is that do not have we do not have the count of number of BMCs as of now. The biodiversity board is functioning with a very kind of 5 to 6 staffs, and who are looking after the entire state and not been able to perform beyond a certain capacity. And third thing is that we lack the capacity building which has to be given to the BMC, so that they at least understand what exactly is this Biodiversity Act, what are the powers of the Biodiversity Management Committee, and what are the powers of State Biodiversity Board, what are the powers of National Biodiversity Board. So if at all, if we are not exactly knowing the provisions of the Act and guidelines, we'll be failing miserably in the implementation of biodiversity. When we say that Biodiversity Act is one of the most stringent act, I would say. Even in Indian Forest Act, the fine is rupees 10,000 rupees. Whereas in Biodiversity Act, the fine is, it is around 10 lakh rupees. And a person can go to jail for even, say, 5 years. So this is so stringent than Indian Forest Act. It is so stringent than, to a certain extent, with the Wildlife Act also. And it is a power. The power is with the BMCs as well. The power is with the State Biodiversity Board, the forest officers, the revenue officers, the deputy commissioners, everybody. But we could see that paltry picture is that we were not able to link any of the offences with respect to the bioresources and try to take it forward, and so that any BMC is benefited out of it. Yes, if you here you see, um, this is nothing but the uh, ultimately whatever resources has been taken from the particular local. For example, this Lakadong turmeric has been taken away from this Meghalaya, but though it may be a normally traded community. Similar to that, there may be taking some orchids, extracting some orchids from northeast. We do not have an exact picture ki what kind of organization are coming and taking these orchids, and ultimately without the help of the local, these bioresources will never be transported. So ultimately, someone from the local only will be the village chief or the village guy or the administrative, the guy in the administration will be helping them out. So what we need to identify is that uh, what are these bioresources first, and then by means of implementing this ABS, how the people would be benefited, and then how these people will take forward this ultimate idea of biodiversity conservation. When we say sustainable use of bioresources, until otherwise we restrict the use of bioresources by the foreign agency or by XYZ company or by corporates or an individual, how there may be some researchers also, but what Manipur University might be doing some researches. But the thing is, what happens exactly is that when the research is published, some XYZ corporation, with the use of the research will try to produce a commercial product out of it. So that is why this Biodiversity Management Act has put a bar on, even for research purpose and even for scientific purpose, even for collection of except for the there is always a provision for collection of bioresources, but even other than the collection of bioresources, if you see, even for research and scientific studies also, the proper permission has to be obtained from NBA and SBB. So there is a procedure under section 3, 4, and 7, even section 6 as well, how this bioresources permission can be obtained. There are section 19, 18, and 20 which says that how this procedure is implemented and what is the timeline for the application to be processed by the respective State Biodiversity Board or the National Biodiversity Act, National Biodiversity Authority. So if you see this prior informed consent of the particular guy is to be provided to the user, and it has to be granted by the public. If that is not happening, then there is something wrong. So what this PIC and the MAT is the mutually agreed terms. That is the from the provider to the supplier. If these two things are not been controlled, then we will never know what kind of bioresources they're extracting, how much they're extracting, and what are the terms and conditions of the extraction. Even BMC can give them for free, but ultimately it should be within these mutually agreed terms. That is why when we say ABS, these two terms come into picture, and then without the consent of the particular, for example, Shiru lily is there. We might not know what is the use of Shiru lily. Somebody might be extracting Shiru lily for some maybe it might have a I do not have a scientific background of backdrop of what are the medicinal purposes, whatever it is, but knowingly or unknowingly somebody might be extracting it. And now you see we are at the verge of celebrating this lily, and I've been to the Sirui Peak for last 2 years, but I could not see that much of Sirui which used to be there at once, say 5 6 years back. Now it's all gone, and particularly in the peak, you could not find even a single Sirui flower. Maybe there is a issue of pressure of extraction or issue of some other thing, maybe with respect to climate change or whatever it is, or maybe the tourist pressure. The entire Shiruli is open for tourism pressure, and the footfall of tourism is around 40,000 people per day. And ultimately, they might also be indulged in collection or extraction or destroying these plants. So we need to be very practical in coming to terms with these BMCs, and then we need to teach them. We need to empower the BMC so that we ultimately the species is conserved, because the conservation is the first aspect of the biodiversity. Even the protocol of Nagoya Protocol. What is that protocol? I forgot. Nagoya Protocol. So if you see the Nagoya Protocol, it says this conservation and sustainable use, and then ABS, and these three are the pillars of biodiversity management. And when you say CBD, these three are the pillars of biodiversity management. I think we can go to the next PDF. We are running out of time, so we'll go to the next PDF. I would like to hear from the audience, because I don't want it to be monotonous. I would like to hear from the audience what kind of experience they have with the local BMC, or have they worked with any BMC, or have they done any research on the implementation of this ABS or the implementation of this Biodiversity Act anywhere in Manipur. Somebody can just open it in the forum. Somebody can just come to the discussion, can help me out in get to know what exactly is happening in Manipur. Somebody? Some of them
Most
can just
roughly.
open out about your experience. At least I get to know what exactly is the academicians are doing. So when some academicians are coming with an idea, then the administrator can also help with take that idea forward, and then probably instead of blaming the system, we can improve the system. So one thing
Actually,
is that
no, not blaming the system, but you see, these BMC, etc., they are created by the state biodiversity board, is it not? I mean, the
yes,
participatory
ma'am.
management is there. matlab You are taking people there in consideration, and
Okay.
maybe few academicians are involved, because earlier when Balaprasad was there, I have attended few meetings at the time. However, our at that time was just consultancy type they have utilized us. As far as
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Manipur University, my students and others have worked. They have gone to particular site. They have investigated in details what we call alpha, beta, gamma diversity. matlab at the species level, or at the population level, or at the community level, they have worked out. So, how
Okay,
what is the
okay.
status? Whether because generally they say that it may be in danger, it may be vulnerable, but actually the population study is not done. So our people are doing population study. They are going in different ecosystem. They may be on the, for example, one has worked on Mapithil Mountain. Emosana Rajkumar, he has worked in the Sacred Grove. So like that, they are working. Some have Daisy Angov, she has worked in Kabul Lamjao Park. So in that way, they have worked out the diversity aspect, which we understand as alpha diversity or beta diversity. They have worked out in different aspects. But as far as
Mm.
your administration or this is concerned, making a biodiversity register or a implementation of it, we are not informed, we are not involved. So it is you, I mean, because many persons have worked in different aspects here in this today's meeting. So you may give them work, you may invite them, and I think they may be able to help you. That I can say.
Sure, ma'am. That is why I'm saying that should be, we are all working in silos, whether these research institutes or the education institutes, ultimately the BMCs, the State Biodiversity Board, the Forest Department, and maybe to the extent agriculture department, everybody is working in silos. What I would always request is wherever I go, whichever meeting I attend, always I put this point: we should never work in silos. We should know each other's work, and then try to see how we bridge between each departments, each institutions, and then take things forward. One issue is, for example, what Mr. Rajkumar might be doing, which Mr. Daisy, Miss Daisy might be doing. I may not be doing. Probably Kevin Joshi would have done something, or say in Kankopi and Cowbrew Hills, they would have something. For example, now I have been asked to do plantation in Cowbrew Hills. I do not have any literature that this Cowbrew Hills is whether it's a grassland or is a actual forest or a tropical forest or a temperate grassland. So the issue is this literature has to flow on you not just unidirectional but in the multi-direction, so that we there is no information asymmetry, and then the actual on field the governance system knows exactly what is the kind of literature. So I would request each and every one of the participants here to have more interaction, more interaction in the near future. Probably you might come to our awareness program, come and sit with our division, talk to us, and then we can take this implementation of the act forward. Because we, until otherwise something happens on the enforcement of the act, no ABS can be possible. For example, this Paris polyfolio has been extracted like anything in Manipur for the last 4 5 years. If we do not do the enforcement under the Biodiversity Act, because if it may come under Wildlife Act, but the Biodiversity Act is more stringent in terms that of the fine and all. So, for example, in Wildlife Act, there is a compensation, but the designing of compensation is a different issue. But the court can directly give 10 lakh fine on those who are violating the act. So, what my intention is that if somebody can come forward and try to take up a study on implementation of the act, or say try to do the resources actually which have been transported out of Manipur, actual on the actual ground. So that will help us instead of going too technical into that, which might help the administration. I would suggest that what are actual resources which has been smuggled, or say which have been smuggled from maybe from remote corners of this particular state, or from.
I'm sorry to say it may be very tricky issue, because we know that from this Myanmar side, that side a lot of I mean we have heard and we talked also even with Balaprasad, lot of butterflies and other things are being smuggled. But who will catch them? We are not the person, because don't have security, and the people are maybe afraid to do all these things. We know even the issue of this. What we call in Manipuri chachandan. That species, it is exported. I mean, smuggled from that side. So these are very tricky issues. I think we have to involve some mechanism by which people may be able to help also, and then they may not be in trouble. I mean, some sort of mechanism is to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that is right, man. That is absolute right. It's not that I'm asking the students to go and kind of what do you call, to put them into pressure directly. It is not that. We need to have a system, is what I'm saying. But the literature might work in
Yeah,
our favor. There might be some literature of movement of such kind of articles in the past, in the present. The local intel is what I am asking. The local intel can be collected and given to the department. We can share it with the Assam Rifles, we can share it with the police and the forest department checkposts and everything, so that we can see, get to know what is the actual movement as of now. That is the idea now. Yes, Mr. Rajkumar.
yeah. I can share some points in that regard, sir.
Sure, sure,
One,
sure.
we work, no doubt, as academician or scholar, but how much we will work? This is first point. Second, we require local participation. That is, local people's participation in
Sure.
the
Mhm.
biodiversity conservation or management part. So
Sure, sure.
we need BMC is there, no doubt, but how much they are active, how much they are working, and we expect continuous working system. But how much the government or concerned department is giving to them, whether they are government is or concerned departments enforcing the BMC or not.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to question these things, and about the local species exploiting or biopiracy. We may talk biopiracy. How much safe is the species? How much species are draining out from the state? This
Yes,
all
yes.
needs to be reviewed, I think. But we will always we understand that the local participation will only come up with good results, I think. So these are the points that I can understand regarding this
Yeah,
matter.
thank you. Yeah, understand. That is always, that's why ultimately our focal point should be the BMCs or the local public. At least without the participation, that's why we need to have more capacity building program for them. One issue is that as we are telling, they might be knowing this is happening, but they may not be knowing this could yield them a lot. For example, I'm just talking about a simple mining which is happening in the the remote corners of the state. What happens is that the village chief, the particular village chief, will be given a rupees 1 lakh or 2 lakh for a lease for 1 hectare or 2 hectares. What is the kind of resources he gets out of that? A contractor gets out of that particular lease is that he is getting more than 50 to 60,000 per day, whereas the lease is only 1 or 2 lakhs for the entire year. But this guy is earning 2 lakh, 60 to 70,000 in terms of extraction of that particular hill earth or say stone or whatever it is. So the point I'm driving home is that we need to tell them the economic benefits of, for example, that is why we're coming to ABS. What exactly are the financial or non-financial benefits that they could accrue by means of conserving that particular species? Then probably we can have a convergence with the medicinal plant board or say the forest department and try to conserve or even try to cultivate that particular species. So we need to understand, we need to make them understand these are those resources or the bioresources which are very vital, which have been being smuggled, and these could be conserved. And if you conserve it, this XYZ amount of rupees you can earn through having through the formalization of Biodiversity Act, maybe through the NBA or the SBB. So that kind of conviction they should have before the successful of before any success of implementation of this particular act. That is what I was telling. I think we can move to the next slide. Just take you through the sections of some of the critical sections of this Biodiversity Act. Then probably we can wind up and we can have more queries answered at the end of. See, basically, if you see this section 3 is nothing but, for example, obtaining of prior approval for this aspect of ABS only. This is the what are the rules or what are the rules which will help in implementing the ABS is what we are discussing now. Section 3 says that any foreign institute or any institute for the purpose of research or commercial utilization or say biosurvey, if they have to take for scientific transfer of knowledge or information or the commercial use, they have to take permission from the NBA. So even State Biodiversity Board cannot even give this permission. This permission has to go through NBA. Certain permissions has to go through NBA. Certain permission has to go through SBB, that is State Biodiversity Board. Certain permission has to go through this Biodiversity Management Committee. So we'll just go one by one. We'll at least know what kind of implementation regime which we have as of now. For example, this one, if you see the purpose of control, it is the transfer of research results. That's why I'm saying transfer of research results for monetary consideration. So for this also, we need to have a prior approval under the ABS agreement with the NBA. And this includes not just foreign citizens, but also Indian citizens also, and any organization which is in India or which is outside as well. So what happens is that sometimes for research purpose, they do the yield analysis and whatnot, and then finally they take this material outside for a commercial utility. So in that case, the local people does not get a single penny out of it. They just use a contract. The middleman will try to ultimately influence and try to take away all the bioresources, and ultimately the people does not, and ultimately it becomes extinct as well. So the conservation aspect as well as the participatory approach as well. We need to understand what are these rules which empowers the NBA or the SBB or the BMC. So for even for IPR also, it has to go through the NBA. Section 6 says that. So this is very interesting, but this has to be this is the definition. Normally, Section 2 is always a definition part in any act. If you see what are the systematic investigation. For example, if it is a study, we say the study or systematic investigation, it defines that any biological resources or any technological application that uses biological systems will form part of this section. So the purpose of the research is will be making or modifying products or processes for any use. For example, if they have to whether it is in the process or it itself is a product, we need to take permission from the NBA. So we need to be very clear about these definitions of bioresources, which is there in the act. Only thing is the implementation part is a little lagging. This also defines this end use of biological resources for commercial use For example, drugs, particularly drugs, the pharmaceutical, even if you see the Patanjali might be using X, Y, Z of resources from Manipur, but we may not be knowing. We need to understand what are these bioresources which are used in drugs or enzymes or food flavors. Even some part of orchids are used for food flavors and fragrance, cosmetic industries and emulsifiers. These are the applications probably where our bioresources are being used and we are not being able to track it. These are the provisions of the procedure in section 19, 20, and 21. It says that it has time limit sets for NB or SBB, within which the approval has to come. Next, 19, 20, and 21. Section 21, if you see the determination of equitable benefit sharing, this is very, very important. But one thing what I would drive home is that instead of going one by one, if somebody can just go through this PDF, I could share. This is very well there in the National Biodiversity Authority's website. But only thing is, what are these activities are controlled? What are the purpose which are controlled? What are these purpose and activities for which one has to approach the NBA, one has to approach the State Biodiversity Board, one has to approach the local biodiversity management committee? If that is known at least to the academician, to the administrator, to the NGOs and CSOs, ultimately it will serve the purpose. If they come to know that some bioresources has been happening, this is in the contravention of the act, it is in the violation of the act, and some action, some uh, for example, like any part of CSO, any member of a CSO, he knows that this particular thing has been extracted from his village, and he comes to know that everything has a channel in which the approval has to be taken. And if that particular member of a CSO comes and complains, he just raises a complaint in the Facebook, the social media, or say to the to a right forum, then probably we could take action. So only thing is we need to have more capacity building programs, more awareness when it comes to this Biodiversity Act. Section 7 defines what is exactly the commercial purpose of this one. So something has to be, for example, if it is a local knowledge transfer, it has to go through the SBB. Whereas if it is a foreign agency which is involved, it has to go through the NBA without any this one. So we need to have this aspect. What are the SB? What are the agenda of the SBB, and what are the agendas of National Biodiversity Authority? So if you see the exemption from that, there are something which are traditionally which has been cultivated. So this we call it as NTAC. NTAC is nothing but normally traded as commodities. This NTAC also somebody can work. What is NTAC in Manipur? I think somebody, I think Madam could guide us on. Is there any book? I think Manipur universities have done some work on this also. If that could be shared with all the stakeholders, ultimately no, this is the exemption. Okay, इसको निकाल के बाकी जो है वो सब जो है it will be in the contravention of the act. So this NTNC documentation is also very, very important. We do not know what is NTAC, and we do not know what are the NTACs which are exempted as such, whereas the other bioresources we cannot be able to control that movement. So legal provisions are always there. Section 55, if you see penalties are up to 10 lakh rupees as told, or 5 years, or even in case of section 7 and 24, which is a bioresource use within the state or within the country, it extends to 3 years and 5 lakh rupees. That is why we say this is a very stringent act in which we can do a lot of things. And this section 52A is also, if anybody is aggrieved, a person aggrieved can also, for example, if NB is giving an authority, is giving an approval, or SBB is giving an approval, then anybody can raise an objection to it directly at the NGT. It gives a common citizen so much power. So that's why I say it's a very stringent act. Only thing is that the snippets of it has to reach the people. Will also, when I was there in Biodiversity Board, we try to create a lot of awareness books, and we are still publishing it and giving it to the people. Only thing is we need to go in a small mode, say project mode or a pilot mode, and then try to expand it to the other. We need to have a successful BMC or a model BMC, then we try to extrapolate into other regions of the state. So with this, I will rest my presentation. Probably if we have any discussion, it would be, I think, more helpful than just going through the slides. if we have any interaction, we'll have more interaction. Maybe in next 10 minutes, someone can ask a question which I know, if which I may not know, then I can ask you, so we can have more interaction in next 10 minutes, please.
So if
Santosh?
there are any questions, any sort
Yeah.
of suggestions,
But
information the participants want to put, let them ask the respected resource person. Please.
ಅದು ಮೈಥಿಲೊಂದು ಹಂಗ ಯಾರೇ, we can speak in Maithilon also, it's fine.
someone says send PPT in the email.
That we can,
We
I
will
think I
share.
already, that's not enough. It's a open
We will
resource
share.
only.
We
I'm
will
not,
share.
it's all open source only. It's not a, which, only
Okay,
thing
okay.
is that we need to have important sections. At least we get to know what are these important sections, what are the provisions, legal provisions, what are the penalties. So we can pull anybody's leg. So if I can make a complaint, I am empowered to make a complaint as a divisional forest officer of any district. Can be, even the range officers can become a complainant. So if we can get to know what exactly is happening, if it's happening in Impal Dimapur road, I can take it up. If it is happening in some other road, some other concerned DFOs or the concerned range officers can take it up. Only thing is that with the workload increasing in the department, also we're not trying to, we're not able to focus much on this biodiversity bioresources aspect. So if some intel could be collected from some amongst you, probably it could be transferred to us, and then we can try to take action on it. So we can file case, and this original jurisdiction falls with the chief judicial magistrate. We can always take a case with them, and if they are failing, then we can take it up with the high court as well.
Okay. So can you, sir, could you please give some highlight on the revenue generated from the forest products to the local people? How much percentage is shared to the, given to the benefits given to the in terms of revenue?
Revenue as such, NTFPs, there is no not much of collection of revenue in the last recent few years, which I could see, because mainly timber is the only source. I think it is not a bioresource to my knowledge. So other than timber,
Okay.
balu single it to jata hi hai, but otherwise there is no NTFP for which we are collecting
Okay.
revenue as of
Okay.
now. But we are thinking that we can include
So,
this pine needles, sawdust, and then this even even now supari, and then bitter leaves also. There are a lot of court cases going on whether it is forest produce or not. But that keeping about that may be, I think, treated as NTSC with respect to this Biodiversity Act is concerned. Maybe this piper, the pepper, and then this muktrubi, and all those pieces, we might have some revenue collection system if we know what exactly has been cultivated.
okay. Are all
Earlier
those
in
forest
area,
products documented well?
I can share you the schedule of royalty.
I
can
think
share you the schedule of royalty.
okay.
We might have some documents on how much revenue we got from each and thing, but we would have collected some royalty from
Okay.
broom, bamboo. Now bamboo is out of our this one, but there are certain NTFPs for which we have been collecting. So we'll be able to give the data in an overall stats perspective.
Mhm.
That
I
that
heard
we
that
can do.
in other states of India, I heard that in other states of India, under joint forest management, there are committees, like the Biodiversity Management Committee. So, revenue generated from the forest resources are given to some parts given to the local people, so that they can
that is there.
come
That
up
is there always.
in terms of development.
Yeah, here also, if you see timber,
So that
80%
is
of the revenue.
how the local people are motivated.
Yes,
That
yes,
is
yes.
one way to motivate the local people.
Yes,
Otherwise, without the well motivation means, I mean, we the system will not work, no. So the kind of some kind of motivation, I mean, in terms of getting revenue, some parts of revenue, in that way local people will be motivated, then
That's what I'm saying.
then
We might
it will
have
result
this
into a
BMC.
good system, yeah, in terms
Yeah,
of conservation, yeah. Mhm.
yeah. JFMCs are not so active here in Manipur. I would always say that more than 90% of the JFMCs are doing nothing, and except for plantation activities. And the such collection of NTFPs.
Okay,
Now
okay,
we have this VDVKs. Probably you're true to a area where the forest administration in Manipur is not so established like the other
yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah.
same sector in other states.
Okay, okay,
Only maybe
okay.
because of limited presence of British here or whatever it is. And this system we should
Right.
take forward in coming discussions, and then probably the BMCs also, if you activate, ultimately that's also
Mhm.
serves the same purpose, right? So we'll see how it can be taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. These are all connected, no? So we are
Yes, yes.
talking about the yeah, conservation of forests and forest resources and participation of the local people. Yeah. So these are all connected in the sense that
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Ultimately, if you do not have, if they do not have
like
the
like like
responsibility,
like other advanced state, we are not that advanced, right? So the revenue generated from the forest resources also it's very negligible in the
yeah, yeah,
context of Manipur. So
yes, yes.
in that situation, how we will go with the local people so as to uh, yeah, ensure the real conservation of the forest and this forest and other natural ecosystem. How we'll do with this I mean, very poor situation of
Hmm.
the state of Manipur? How will go ahead?
No,
Do you
that I
have
understand.
any?
I understand the issues. Only thing is the people participatory
Mm.
management. People participatory management. We say in books we say a lot, and but in principle whether we are following it or not. And the issue with respect to Manipur is that we do not have the ownership. See, the forest department ownership is just limited to 6% of the area was only with us. 6% of the area is with the reserve forest. Only those reserve forests we may dictate. Other than that, there are some 19 percentage of protected forest. There also there is no establishment. There for the long time there is no. The people do not take permission from the department as such, basically, and just leave about 75% of the forest is with the community. Now, the community itself has to take care, though the mandate is there, the issue with the forest department is the lack of field staff. So once the field staff will be there in large numbers, probably I think we could concentrate much on that 75% of the unclassed forest with which you are talking about. And then we get to know what exactly are those
Yeah, yeah.
bioresources which have been taken away. So the issue with Northeast or the issue with the Manipur is just that the ownership lies with the community. So I don't say that I take away the responsibility back, but still, when the ownership lies with the community thinks that we are not liable to pay to the department whatever revenue. So ultimately, the chiefian system here, you see, in most of the areas, I would say the chief is the one who dictates terms. It is not so democratic that people get a lot of money into their pockets. Ultimately, what they get is accumulated, the wealth is amassed by the village chief. So there are social structure is also one issue with which we cannot implement JFMC to the true spirit in Manipur. Because, for example, if a JFMC is formed,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ultimately the chief system in 80% of the land, they will have the control. When they have the control, the entire money will go into his hand only, right? So there are social structure issues as well.
Okay.
There are the department's lack of strength of
Right,
forest
right.
forces. A lot of issues which are probably the reasons behind this. And then probably we also should be a little proactive. And then when I say we are all working in silos, um the institutions, the organizations, the research organizations, everybody has to come together in a single platform. Without that being happening, I don't think so. this kind of thing will happen in the near future.
We talk about also stringent act and law, and how far or how long, I mean, we can do with it. Stringent law and act we talk about.
Law and
So
act of
how far we can do with it?
which law and act you're talking about?
I mean, uh, certain punishment can be given to the force doer and any piracy done or any animal poaching, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
stringent
ultimately,
law and act are there. So
mhm,
how far we can do with it? I mean,
we need to have the political backing as well.
on the other hand, we talk about the local people's involvement and participation, and we talk about the Joint Forest Management and Biodiversity Management Committee. Uh,
Mhm.
so uh, in that complex system, this stringent law and act, uh, how far it can go with, I mean, we can go with it, the law,
No,
stringent
that is
law
why
and
I'm
act.
exactly saying, no, why I took this ABS principle today is the point of discussion is to
Mhm.
enforcement is the only key way to have the ABS. For
Mm.
example, if you do not do we do not have a single case in Manipur with respect to Biodiversity Management Act. This act came in 2006. When we say that,
Mhm.
it is not just the forest officer, the revenue officials, the district level officials, they're also responsible, equally responsible. Only thing is that once you enforce something, ultimately people come to know. For
Mhm.
example, you make a court case out of it, then people come to know this is a big issue. Then probably the court gives some direction, court gives some penalties, court gives some, then people take it seriously. Until otherwise we enforce the rule of law, particularly whether it is Forest Act or Wildlife Act or say Biological Diversity Act, people would not come into terms with it. And secondly is that the whatever ABS we are talking about, this will not have any say no villages will get accrue any benefit out of it, right? The corporates will have their own say, right? The enforcement, there is no lack of enforcement, then people will try their own ways and means to export things and extract things. That is the way. So we need to strengthen our
Mhm.
enforcement.
Mhm.
I've been trying my best, my history, but ultimately supported by
Mhm.
political backing, probably you can do better.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
person who want to ask the
So,
question? Emotional, you may ask sir later on. Okay.
Some other
yeah,
time,
yeah,
please
yeah.
ask him.
So,
Whether some other person is
can
there.
we go
Dr.
ahead,
Vijayanath
ma'am?
Jha, please. Dr. Vijayanath Jha.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Sir
had,
is from Bihar.
Professor from
yes,
Bihar. Sir, please.
I had an occasion to attend this program, a nice program organized by Professor Asha Gupta under her different fora, and I find it convenient to attend all her programs. Today also I attended it, participated in it, and two more programs in which I was invited as speaker. I attended to those two programs also, and this was the third program. I think this is a day of biological diversity, and a number of species, they are on way to extinction, and it is time we came forward to save the situation. Uh, it was not that extinctions were not earlier on account of natural factors, but today man has come to the center stage, and human beings, they are at the behest of pushing the process, pushing the pace of extinction. So it is time we came forward to have a real glimpse of the situation and take appropriate actions for halting this extinction, onward march of extinction. So thank you for organizing such a nice program, nice lecture by a forest officer today. Situation in Manipur has been depicted in a little bit more detail. So I once again thank the organizers for this nice program on this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Vijayanath Jha.
for sincere concern. Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Now,
much.
any other
So,
person who want to ask the question? Otherwise, we should take the program further. Any other person? I think there are no questions more. So we can move further.
Yeah.
So,
I think I take this opportunity to thank one and all. Probably, ma'am, very thanks to ma'am as well. Like, I have limited interaction with her when she was the professor at Manipur University. As I've been always telling that I would like to have more such programs, and then probably we can think of going to the roots. That is like the biodiversity management communities have some capacity building program on these particular acts and things, and we get to know what exactly are these bioresources which has been cultivated or extracted. So I would probably like to have more participation from your end, particularly the seed, the members of this particular webinar. If I have shared my email as well as mobile number with you, ma'am, in the chat as well. So if somebody is interested, they can come forward and we can have more actionable points on this BMCs and strengthening the BMCs. Thank you.
thank you very
Sure,
much, sir.
thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for your enlightening speech, and we have we have really enjoyed your presentation. May I request Dr. Asha Gupta to deliver President's speech of today's webinar. Madam, please.
Well, we have respected Vidyanath Jhaji with us, Sri Ganesh with us, and other faculty members and participants. Today is International Day for Biological Diversity. It is a great day for us and for all the humanity. We know that biodiversity is the basis of human survival and life support system. We are working right from various dimensions, right from the molecular level to species level to population, ecosystem, biosphere level. So we are very rich in diversity, as we know, in India. As far as world is concerned, 1.7 to 1.8 million diversity is recorded. However, it is estimated that about 50 million biodiversity, 5 to 50 million diversity exists. But there are taxonomies are really rather I should say rare species, and many groups, they are not worked very well. So this is a real fact. In India, if we talk, we have 45,000 species of plants, 65,000 species of animals. We have medicinal plants which are used for pharmaceutical purpose, about 1,800 species. In Ayurveda, about 200 species are used. In allopathy system, 25% of species are used there. About 120 species are used in pharmaceutical system. If we talk about the food, about the agriculture sector, in the world, 270,000 plants are recorded for their food value. However, throughout the history, if we see, there are about 7,000 plants which are recorded, which are cultivated. Actually, they are about 150 species, but the priority in the whole world is given to about 20 species. So just you can see that 270,000 species have the potential. So there is a huge potential for ensuring our food security, especially when we are talking of climate change and other disasters which are happening in the world. When we talk of Northeast, we are living, India is mega diversity country. We are living in hottest spot. Rajkumar said that we are touching 2 hottest spots. It's true. And then with rich biodiversity, especially if we talk of Northeast India, just have a small comparison. If we talk of angiosperms in India, 17,000 are recorded. But in Northeast India, 8,500 are there, just half. Then in fern, 1,100 are fern and fernalize, 1,100 are recorded from India, whereas 650 are recorded from Northeast India. If you say orchids, 1,200 are recorded from India. But if you see Northeast India, 700 are there. If you see citrus species, there are 11 in India. In Northeast India, 10 are there and 64 varieties are there. So the use, this is rather the origin for that. Then rhododendron, 90 are recorded in India and 80 are there in Northeast India. Similarly, in bamboos, 130 recorded in India, 83 are there from Northeast India. So thus we can have a comparison that how great diversity is existing in India. And then when we are talking of biodiversity, it is not only the natural resource, but it is embodying the cultural diversity. The people through ages in different cultures, they are linked to diversity in different ways. There are cultural occasions, there are festivals, there are lifestyle, in different stages of life, they are related to this diversity, and diverse traditions are existing in different parts of the world, even in India and in Manipur, that where the people, they are conserving this precious biodiversity. As we know that India has rich diversity, and as far as we have seen at ecosystem level, at species level, generic level, it is very rich. We have 21 agroclimatic regions, 15 agroclimatic zones, 10 biogeographical zones, and 24 biomes. This is represented in India. So we harbor great diversity at ecosystem level, but in spite of many legislations prevailing, Biodiversity Act is passed in 2002, biodiversity laws are there in 2004, and a number of laws are there, number of acts are there. In spite of that legislation, there is degradation and declining of biodiversity at different levels. Our resource person has talked very beautifully about ABS, various aspects of it, and the problems which are there in Manipur, and in what way we can be involved, or the people can be involved from academic fora to help them, and rather it is helping us because it is the precious heritage for us. We are owing the, it is also taken by government of Manipur. And then in India, the Green India Mission, it aims to increase annual rate of afforestation by from 1.3 million per hectare. This is not limited only to forest land or the non-forest land, non-forested area, which are there like wetland and other areas, but it is also, they are also talking of potentially, potential area in forest where the qualified germplasm may be produced. So that is the beauty of it. It is to increase, the objective was to increase the ecosystem services, to give the livelihood to people, because people at the base, at the at the ground level, they are connected to biodiversity. We are biodiversity people. Our food, water, fuel, medicine, everything we obtain from biodiversity, and people, they depend on that biodiversity. But the problem is that though this region is so much rich in diversity, we are living in biodiversity hotspot, still the people are poor. So that is why here comes the aspect of bioprospecting. Here comes the aspect of access and benefit sharing, which our resource person had talked very beautifully. So the ecosystem services in Green India Mission, it aims to provide for 10 million hectares, for about 10 million hectares, and increase with that increase for 50 to 60 million tons by the year 2020, it was estimated in the program. Now there is one international program which is taken by UNESCO, and it is called the Diversitas. This is international non-governmental program under UNESCO, and the aim was discovering of the biodiversity, predicting its changes, what are the impact of its changes which are there, and they are affecting the ecosystem functioning and ecosystem services. And also the developing the science of conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity. When we are talking of ecosystem services, see, it is not only the provisioning services like food, fodder, medicine, fuel, and the energy which we are getting from the plants and animals, but it is also as we have told that the cultural aspect is there. Cultural services are provided by it, the spiritual and religious services. It is also the point of education and inspiration, recreation. Aesthetic values are there attached to it. Besides, there are supporting services like nutrient cycling. Many of you maybe I think they are from environmental science background, and nutrient cycling are the water cycle, hydrological cycle, primary production, provision of habitat for the animals, provision of corridors, like that. So various aspects are there, supporting services they are provided by biodiversity. Besides, there are regulating services like mitigating this climate, regulating climate, balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, erosion regulation, natural hazard regulation, seed dispersal, pollination, and so on and so forth. So these are all services which are provided. And then long back, Ustanja, he published, Nature is the best journal, biological journal in the world. And he published in 1997 that the world GDP, it is 18 trillion US dollars, whereas this ecosystem services, it is providing $33.3 trillion, just almost double. So in this way, there are non-tangible services. For example, the water is being protected under the forest, but we are not understanding the value of it. And then the things, deforestation is taking place, the abuse of various resources are taking place, and then the intangible services which should get attention of the economists, etc. That attention is not caught by them. So this should, the resource budgeting, this ecosystem service inclusion, it should be there when we are talking of the services by the biodiversity, ecosystem services provided by the biodiversity. Also the people who are responsible for conserving this biodiversity. In home garden of Manipur, we have seen the domestication of plants people are doing. So how they are doing since ages, since generations, this service, important service to humanity, they should be the persons who are responsible for conserving this biodiversity. They should also be paid. If we are paying tax, and then in some way, some provision has to be there. Sir is talking of access and benefit sharing, but I feel that some provision should be there. There are these people who are responsible for conserving the important pockets of biodiversity, or in general they are responsible for domestication of plants and other. They should be paid something. They should be shown some sort of approach. There should be some sort of approach by the government that yes, they recognize their services. It may be monetary. If it is there, it is very nice because they are poor people. Otherwise, there should be recognition of their services, which is very much needed. If we talk of this global loss of forest cover, since past 8,000 years, about half of the forests are gone. We know that about 50 to 90% of biodiversity is there, of terrestrial diversity is there in the forest. But so much forests are gone. In tropical areas, the forests, original forests which are remaining, I think we have learned it is 40% or even less. So more than 11 million hectare of forests are lost every year. And this figure is increasing also. When we talk of health security, you see the plants which are described medicinally, they are 1800. And the species which are in allopathic use, they are more than 120 species, especially in India. Similarly, we have talked that more than 85% of food, it is given by 20 plants. So in this way, we know that for our health security, for our food security, for our environmental security, for provisioning services, for regulating services, how biodiversity is important. And therefore, we say that it is our life support system. We are talking of bioprospecting, that is study of plants, microbes, animal species, which are of commercial value, from which we can get some molecules of importance, which may be of use for drug or narcotic, or for poison, or for food purpose also. So there is commercial importance, commercially potential bioresources are there. They are to be tapped.
And we are here one DBT institute, which is a sponsored institute, IBSD in Manipur. They are looking for it. Now, we know that theme 22, as Rajkumar said, that it is building a shared future for all life. We know that biodiversity is the basic support system for us. And whatever we are talking of millennium development goals, most of them, they can be met, like reducing poverty or providing, by providing livelihood, by involving people in basic afforestation, or talked of BMC committees, joint forest management committees, and different aspects, in different resources they may be involved. So they can do a lot of services to this, and therefore biodiversity is answer to several challenges, like maybe climate change, maybe food security, maybe environmental security, maybe sustainable development for our society. And we know that this is UN decade for restoration, and therefore we feel that whatever degradation of systems have been done due to our sinful activities, anthropogenic activities, they should be checked. We are all responsible citizens, and therefore we should think in what way we can conserve this biodiversity, we can protect it, and we can monitor it. And in case we are able to help the forest department, as Sir Ganesh has said, it will be very nice of us. We know that CBD, Convention of Biological Diversity, it provides the basic tenet for sustainable development, and therefore it is our responsibility to participate in it wholeheartedly. Now, I will end in the last by saying that we said that cultural diversity and biodiversity, they are related. If the cultural diversity is there, then the biodiversity, it persists. They are related with each other. We have seen in, especially in valley here, that the sacred groves are existing, and the small patches or big patches, they are dedicated to the forest deities, and they are protected. In the past, the kings, they used to travel miles barefooted just to seek the blessings of those deities. And now also it is compulsory on the part of the people, if they want to say something, that yes, I have not done this thing, or I have done this thing, if they have to assert, then they take the oath in the name of these Umang, these deities. So this is very much, cherishing. It is very much interesting to see in Manipur how this, this institution, traditional institution, indigenous knowledge, it is persisting. And my two students have worked on it. My first student, Usha Rani, she is here. She worked on sacred grove, the hydrological cycle aspect of it. And what we have observed, that some of the species which are found vulnerable in the forest, they are growing well in the sacred groves of Manipur. The regeneration is going on in the groves. So in this way, these sentiments, these attitudes of the people, these traditions and ethos, cultural ethos of the people, it is very much important. And the this cultural aspect of management, it has to be linked with the scientific aspect if we have to protect our biodiversity in future. So with this word, again, I thank our resource person. I thank Professor Jha and others who have joined the webinar. I thank our Seed and Shakti members and all who are here with us. So with this, over to Imosana.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your informative and insightful presidential speech with regards to the webinars, which is being celebrated as part of the celebration of World Day for International Biodiversity, International Day for Biological Diversity 2022. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, may I request Madam Dr. L. Usarani Devi to give a vote of thanks. Madam Usarani.
Thank you, Masana. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the organizing team, I, Dr. Lamabam Usarani, Joint Secretary of State, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks on this occasion of International Day for Biological Diversity 2022. At the outset, I thank our distinguished speaker, Mr. N. Ganesh, CFO, Soil and Water Conservation Division, Forest Department, Government of Manipur, for not only sparing his valuable time, but also giving us an inspirational, motivational, and knowledgeable speeches. So we are thankful to Professor Rasa Gupta for our we are thankful to Professor Rasa Gupta, President Seat and Convener Manipur Saki for our presidential speech and for serious effort and support to make this webinar a success. A special thanks to Program Officer Santos Nahacom for providing technical support in making this webinar successful. A heartfelt thanks to all the participants and for their presence to make this webinar fruitful. And also I thank the organizers and those who have directly or indirectly contributed to this webinar. Once again, I thank one and all in this webinar for making it a great success. Thank you. Over to you, Mosna.
With the permission of the chair, I conclude this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.